Life Unrehearsed on CJAD 800. Brought to you by Marco Vendramini of IG Private Wealth Management. MarcoVendramini.com.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Life Unrehearsed, a show about the ins and outs of family life. So your life isn't going exactly as planned. Well, you're not alone, and we're here to help out. My name is Matt Del Vecchio, specializing in free retirement home search and senior transition support. My partner in crime, Corey Sirota, is usually with me in studio, but she is off this week, so I'm flying solo. Coming up on the first half of Life Unrehearsed, dealing with debt. Well, for some, this is a challenge year-round, and for others, this time of year, just after the holidays, is particularly difficult. Well, the credit card bills and the accompanying balances of those credit card bills are adding up. So you need some advice and tips on how to deal with it. Well, we have an expert in studio with me that will help us guide us the way. Ron Gagnon, Senior Vice President and Licensed Insolvency Trustee with BDO First Call Debt Solutions, is here to tell us how to do it. And you'll also want to stick around for the second half of the show here on Life Unrehearsed. Very excited to have Corey Fleischer in studio with us. Some of you may have already heard of Corey since he's only had about 100 million views. You heard me right, 100 million views on social media, and that's just in 2018. Corey is the founder of Erasing Hate, and his movement is erasing hateful graffiti around the world. And so that'll be just after the 4:30 news. Hey, did you happen to see this Steve McNeil fella? Shout out to Steve. I don't know if you heard of this guy. He's been on the news recently. He just skated outdoors at Parc Maisonneuve for 19 hours and 26 minutes. He started at midnight on Friday, finished at 7:26 p.m. on Saturday, and he's doing this for the Alzheimer's Society of Montreal in honor of his mother, who passed away in 2013 after suffering from Alzheimer's for 20 years. Good on him. I'm telling you, I don't know if you were out late on Friday night. It was minus 25. I don't know how he did it. Why 19 hours and 26 minutes? Well, it's because his mom was born in 1926. He's been doing it for 7 years in Toronto. He says in honor of the 7th year, he's going to take it on the road. So he's doing the 7 NHL cities in Canada. Good on you. Steve did Montreal. He'll be in Ottawa soon. And all money raised will go to the local Alzheimer's Society. So hats off to Steve. Great job. All right, let's get started. And I don't know about you, but I received my credit card statements this past week. Ouch. You try to be good, but it's the holidays. You know, you get in the spirit and you're buying a gift here, buying a gift there. I don't know if you've started on some online shopping, but boy, they make it easy to spend even more money and put it on your credit card. You get in a little trouble that way. Well, now the bills are in and it's time to pay for it. And not so easy for many people. And that's why we want to bring in an expert in the field of debt payment. So very proud to have in studio Ron Gagnon, Senior Vice President and Licensed Insolvency Trustee with BDO First Call Debt Solutions. Ron, welcome to Life Unrehearsed.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
You know what? You and your services are so needed. I have to say, when we talk about service, Ron, maybe we should just start there. What do you do and what does BDO do for people?
Well, BDO, we're cross-country, so the First Call Debt Solutions is from coast to coast, really, where we help people who are financially distressed or who have difficulties managing properly their financial situation. So we basically understand that, you know, whether it be emotionally or even sometimes it'll be physical, a situation where debt can get to you. So we understand how they feel, and we try to give them a comprehensive solution. So we meet with these people that come to us. We can do it by phone, we can do it in person, and we will give them a free consultation to see if we can help them.
You know, it's such a good service that a lot of people don't even know that service doesn't exist. So we're going to get in some real examples of some of the trouble some people can get into. And let's start with, we'll call it the post-holiday regret. It's like I mentioned, people are receiving their credit card bills, and you're starting to get those bills, and you are in a bit of trouble here. So what type of advice, particularly in this situation, just after the holidays in January, you're in the red, what type of advice can you give for those in the red?
Well, this is like a simple but kind of a boring answer, but I think you should start by making a budget. So where you can manage where you want to find out where your money goes and see how much you have that you can put towards repaying your debt. And if you can't pay off your credit card bills in its entirety, when the payments come due, then you sort of have to set up a plan where you will reimburse this over time. There are different ways of going about that.
So tell us about some of those ways, Ron. I heard something called a snowball method. Did I get that right?
Yeah, there's a snowball and the avalanche
Okay.
method. So this is the time of season, right, for this? So it's perfect.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Right. So, quickly, the snowball is if you have several outstanding amounts on your credit cards, you will want to take the smallest amount on the card that has the smallest amount and pay that one off more aggressively while still making the minimum payments on the others. So that sort of so as you get going, you go from 5 cards to 4 cards to 3 cards and so forth. As for the avalanche, it'll be on a more financial situation. You will go get the one that has the highest interest rate and try to bring that one down as much as you can while still making the minimum payments on the others.
Okay, no, it makes sense, and I like the terminology, but the bottom line is just chipping away at it a little bit by bit, and to give you a little bit of peace of mind. We're talking to Ron Gagnon, SVP, Senior Vice President from BDO, and he's helping us give some words of advice about how to relieve ourselves of some these very challenging debt issues for people, and sometimes it's not just holidays; it's year round. But we talk about this time of year. We've all done, or many people do, New Year's resolutions. Go to the gym, try to get in shape and so on. But it's interesting BDO's take on New Year's resolutions. And in fact, I've heard you're not even recommending making financial strategies as part of a New Year's resolution. How do you approach that one?
Well, because we know how successful we are with our resolutions. I think, statistics showed us like 8% that actually go through with them. So we don't want 8% of people managing their debt. We want everyone to do so. And that's by really having a plan and a strategy in place. And that's year long. So if you want to start in January, great, but you've got to keep with it.
Yeah, smart. It makes sense, and I believe you even one of the strategies or the goals you have something called SMART. I like the acronym. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, well, SMART really is it's an acronym to remember because you need to use something has to be smart. S is for specific, M is for measurable, A is for action oriented, R realistic. Now that's very important, and T is for timelines. So you have to really fix objectives and be able to measure them, and you'll also be encouraged by attaining those steps.
It makes sense, and I think you just all 5 of those SMART makes sense. And there's a recurring theme: make it reasonable. So, give me an example. I've got $5,000 credit card debt. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. There's a lot of people doing that. How do we attack that type of example?
Well, that's just it. I think it's how much can I put per month towards that card. You may not be able to pay it off completely, like I said before. Likely you won't. You've still got to live. You still got to put groceries on the table, right? Food on the table. So you want to just be able to go step by step and be able to measure it. I want to pay so much by such a period of time, and you make sure that you stick to it and you revisit it on a regular basis. So it's really small steps that will help you achieve it and won't demoralize you as you go along.
Yeah, I've heard even putting it in writing, right? It's you're sort of making yourself a little bit more accountable. One of the things that I see, if anyone has a line of credit out there, those interest rates are inching up and sometimes a little bit more than inching up. Fortunately, this past January 9th, we were expecting a rate hike that did not happen. I think we're around 1 3/4, 2%. But it could still be difficult. Those interest rates are getting higher, and it's discouraging. What do you recommend for people that are just saying, I just can't handle this?
Well, that's where we come into the picture, really. Like I said, that free consultation, we're licensed insolvency trustees. That's what we do, is look at the financial situation and give you different possibilities. Some will involve just some work at home. Our debtsolutions.bdo website has a lot of tools that can help you to manage your money. A lot of money management tools. So take a look at them. Some, like I said, can be done at home. But if you're overwhelmed, just come in and see us or other licensed insolvency trustees, obviously, and we will find a plan that will suit you.
Okay, well, that's great advice, and it's approaching 4:15. We're going to get a traffic update first, but Ron, what was very interesting about this New Year's resolution, we're going to expand on this because we tend to lose momentum real quick. We're good January and February. You've got some excellent words of advice as to how we can keep that momentum going all year long.
Life Unrehearsed on CJAD 800. Brought to you by Marco Vendramini of IG Private Wealth Management. MarcoVendramini.com.
Welcome back to Life Unrehearsed. Yes, we are talking some money, and thought we'd throw in a little Pink Floyd for you there. My name is Matt Del Vecchio. I'm normally here with Corey Sirota. She's off this week, and we're talking about debt and how to effectively deal with it, especially this time of year. I'm blessed to have Ron Gagnon, Senior Vice President and Licensed Insolvency Trustee with BDO First Call Debt Solutions. He's in here in studio with us to tell us how to do it. Ron, some excellent words of advice. And just before traffic run, we talked about this time of year, everyone seems to be optimistic, going to the gym, and we've got our goals set, and before you know it, it's February, March, and everything tanks. One of the things you really preach at BDO was trying to maintain that momentum, not just for a couple of months, but 12 months a year. So can you give our listeners some thoughts and advice as to how we can keep that momentum going?
Absolutely. Well, again, as I said, you want to be realistic. So you want to set up your goals so that you can follow them on a regular basis. Now, a regular basis, maybe once a month, maybe every 2 or 3 months, but you definitely do not want to set your goals and not revisit them, because you will lose track at one point, and maybe you'll make it to March, but you likely won't make it much further. So that's really important, to revisit your goals.
So get it in writing, right? Set the goals. What do I want to achieve, and revisit it.
And when it's measurable and it's also realistic, you get, okay, great, I achieved this. Now let's move on to the next one.
Well, you bring up a good point about the realistics. We'll have the grandiose goals. I'm in $5,000 credit card debt. I'm going to get it all paid off by March. And next thing you know, it's March 15th and nothing's happened. So realistic, chip away at it, set 12-month goals is what you're saying.
Absolutely. That's the best way to go about it. Again, you need to be motivated. You've got to see the results.
Yeah, excellent. Now, there are some incredible stats. We were talking off air, Ron, about Canadians in general and the challenges many Canadians face. Can you just tell us about some of these stats?
Well, sure. Actually, this fall we ran what we called our inaugural BDO Affordability Index. So we went and we polled people across the country. And the real statistic that stick out is we're talking about 52% of Canadians that live from paycheck to paycheck. So obviously, if you do get debt on top of that, you may not be able to to pay your payments, or at least to pay them off in its entirety. So that's a lot of people, 52%.
No kidding.
There's even a third of the people that they say that they struggle to afford the basics. That's rent, clothing, gas in their car, food. I mean, that's also huge. I mean, it's actually quite discouraging when you think that many people have problems meeting their basic needs. And then the other one I think that sticks out is about 25% just don't know where to start. Mm-hmm. That's where we can come in and help them.
Well, very interesting. We're talking with Ron Gagnon, Senior Vice President at BDO. He's helping guide us with some debt relief. Those stats are mind-boggling, and if you put that into actual numbers, 52%, you're looking at 17 million Canadians living off paycheck week to week, about 10 million struggling to even pay their bills. So that is the question. Where do you start, Ron? This is your field, and if I were to call you, first of all, let me say, I don't know, I'm probably representative of many listeners, but I'm almost afraid to call you. One, psychologically, dignity, pride, and two, I'm already in debt. You're going to cost me money, and I'm going to go into more debt. At least that's what I'm thinking. So explain how it works if I were to reach out to you.
Well, that's a good point, and I have some good news for you, Matt.
I'll take the good news, please.
First of all, what we do is we do an initial consultation, which is totally free. I mean, it is confidential. There's no reason not to come to experts like ourselves. If you do need help, if you don't know where to start, we're going to give you that free consultation. So it's not costing you anything to meet with us. If you do need some solutions that we offer, like some people will definitely, the only way to get out of debt is to file a consumer proposal.
Okay, so just explain what a consumer proposal is. In
a consumer proposal, let's say you've got $30,000 in debt. I'm talking about, consumer debts, line of credits, credit cards. We can negotiate with the creditors a lesser amount So you're not going to be paying the total of the $30,000, but also it will be a monthly installment that is interest free. So not only you're paying less, but there's an end to it. Because as you probably know, Matt, making minimum payments on a credit card, you could be paying for 30, 40 years sometimes, depending on how much the amount is on the card. This is a solution that brings an end to your... So it's very motivation and motivates you.
Okay, again, talking with Ron Gagnon, very interesting. We've got all the ears all on deck with BDO. So just, I'm going to recap here. We'll use this $20,000 figure. Ron, I'm in trouble here. I see you. You give me a free hour of your time to do a consultation, and there's a possibility that you will act on my behalf now and negotiate with the credit card companies, maybe the banks, and that $20,000. I'm expecting I'm going to have to pay $20,000 and then a whole bunch of interest. You're saying that's not really how it works sometimes when you get to this level.
The consumer proposal has no interest. So you're going to be paying, if the creditors agree to $10,000 out of $20,000, to use your example, you will be paying $10,000.
And I could pay these $10,000, whatever's negotiated over several months, without paying interest on this $10,000 now.
You can pay for up to 5 years. A consumer proposal can last up to 60 months.
Unbelievable. Really didn't know that. Now, let's go one step further. Quickly now, bankruptcy. I overdid it. I've got to declare bankruptcy. What are the repercussions of bankruptcy?
Well, I mean, bankruptcy is obviously the last solution. We hopefully will find something else, but it does become the solution in certain circumstances. So the bankruptcy, what it does is it protects you from your creditors, and it makes sure also that your creditors are not being left out while the others are being preferred. It's a very equitable process to put an end to your financial difficulties. You can keep a lot of your assets even if you go bankrupt. People think they will lose everything. That's not the case.
So you can keep some of your assets if you declare bankruptcy. Obviously, that goes on your record, and future employers can see all that, I'm assuming.
You shouldn't worry about your employers, but it will affect your credit. So when it comes time to rebuild your credit, we can also at BDO help you with that.
It's interesting because, again, this time of year, last week we had a wonderful trainer from the gym, Phyllis Frost, and because we all think, I need that motivation.
I saw that, by the way.
Oh, did you? Hope you liked it, Ron.
Yeah.
Phyllis was amazing, and but that's, most people, if you need a personal trainer for the gym, a lot of people, it's very popular. I don't think very many people think of going to someone like you, Ron, almost as my debt relief trainer, but this is effectively what you are, aren't you?
Absolutely, and there's the relief part of it, right? So, I mean, you will, I don't want to continue with your analogy, but you'll take a lot of weight off of your shoulders, if not around your gut, but it will relieve a lot of that pressure. So, yes, we are in certain ways quite similar to your personal trainer, but we're a personal financial trainer.
That's Ron Gagnon, Senior Vice President and Licensed Insolvency Trustee with BDO First Call Debt. Ron, thank you very much for being on Life Unrehearsed. How can people find out a little bit more about BDO?
Just go to the website. Like I said, there are a lot of tools there, and you can easily reach us. We have offices across the province, so no hesitation. It's BDO, debtsolutions.bdo.ca. Real easy to find.
It's got all there, and you do have, I've been on the site, excellent tips and advice. So debtsolutions.bdo.ca, and that's Ron Gagnon, who we were just talking with. Ron, thank you very much. Very informative. I really appreciate you coming in on a Sunday with your wonderful daughter who just turned 9. So great to have just in here watching us in the studio.
Thank you very much, man.
All right, coming right up after the news, we're going to have Corey Fleischer in studio. You don't want to miss his incredible story of erasing hate, a movement that has gone viral around the world, and that will be coming up after the 4:30 news with Luciano.